Bear down, Bears fans. What is good, everybody? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Justin Fields continues to show improvements and is impressing this Chicago Bears coaching staff with his offseason work. We'll talk about that, what that means for this season coming up, and some OTA holdouts that may be in place week 2 of OTAs. All that and more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So Justin Fields continuing to show improvement, and the coaching staff says they can see that his offseason work is paying off. Had a couple of good reps today. Did end up throwing an interception to Tyreek Stevenson, but for the most part, right, leading that Bears team down the field, being able to get them into the end zone. Nice passes to DJ Moore, and they talked about kind of his footwork, how he's been able to go through his reads, how he's been able to attack, which I think is really something that is bigger than a lot of people think, because when you think about Justin Fields in college, right? What kind of quarterback was he? The criticism is fair. He was a guy that waited for the big play to open up and wanted to attack that play, but he hasn't had the opportunity really to come into a season and just work on the fact that, okay, I know I'm going to have something on the offensive line here. I can stand back there and work on just my technique, going through my reads, going through the reads faster. Coach Flus talked today at the podium, and he talked about how Justin Fields looked like he was going through his reads faster. He was trusting what he was seeing in front of him. He was attacking the throw very well. Footwork stayed clean. Those are things that you like to hear about your quarterback who's coming off of being that big play guy, right? That guy that's going to go after the big play. I think at the end of the day, when I look at Justin Fields and what he can bring to this Bears team, that level of improvement could be what puts this team over the top. I text my friend group today, right? We all in this big old group chat. We're all talking. I said, I'm drinking the Bears Kool-Aid. Now, again, this Kool-Aid is not the brown Kool-Aid. This is regular Kool-Aid out here. You know what I'm saying? One flavor, some sugar packets, regular Kool-Aid out here. What I mean by that is I'm not telling you that this Bears team is going to win 13 games this season, but when I see the improvements and how they're talking about that they've seen this improvement in Justin Fields already to start off OTAs. Now, again, OTAs doesn't mean that it's going to be a great thing. It doesn't mean that this guy's going to come out, he's going to be lacing when there's real guys trying to kill him on the other side. But I think what it does mean is even Justin Fields saw the issues that were very obvious to all of us, and he didn't shy away from them. He didn't run away from them. He admitted that they were issues, and he went into the offseason trying to fix it. We're now talking about 2 off seasons where he's worked on his throwing mechanics, worked on perfecting his throwing mechanics, worked on perfecting his footwork. I think he's going to have a little bit more time behind that offensive line to help with all of that this season. So hopefully, right, you'll see this Bears team kind of be able to take steps in the right direction because of the arm of Fields, not just because the athleticism of Fields. Oh, by the way, he's still really athletic. He had a couple of plays, and I like the fact that, right, they brought out some of these plays, a couple of these plays where he's going down. Yes, he's doing some things to make his footwork show, basically, right? And still being able to use the legs a little bit, but he's trying his best to use the arm here. And we see him getting the ball out to DJ Moore. Nice pass, basically ends up in the end zone. Well, and got a couple of plays right where he hits DJ Moore right before the goal line, ends up throwing it to Cole Kmet, but Cole Kmet couldn't corral it because Justin put it too low. There's still some things to work through, but I like that we're seeing the highs and lows of what this team can bring, what Justin Fields can bring to the field, and we're seeing it now so that it can be worked on throughout the season. The one thing the Bears didn't have an issue with last season in the second half of the season was getting down by the end zone. The biggest problem was the Chicago Bears ended up finishing with points. The Bears, I mean, like, what do we have, like 6, or I should say enough points, right? Enough points. And that goes to the defense too. But what do we have, 6 weeks basically where the Bears were able to put up 30 points or more. And then, right, like it just kind of fell off a cliff. We had that Lions game. We had that Packers game. I think that there's growing steps. There's growth that we can see from Justin Fields over the offseason, the coaches are seeing it early on. That gets me excited for now when we do finally get to training camp. What is that going to look like in pads? What is that going to look like with DJ Moore in pads? The one thing that I keep hearing about DJ Moore, by the way, in the offseason is separation, separation, separation. This guy seems to always be getting away. And here's the one thing that I want to tell everybody, for those of you who are like, OTAs doesn't matter. Nobody cares about OTAs. They're just going through the motions. OTAs doesn't matter when things are going well. We've had teams where things aren't going well. We've had years. I remember Jeff Dickerson reporting, rest his soul, on the Chicago Bears, right? OTAs, and how guys were overthrowing guys, and how, Mitch missed the pass down the sideline, or Justin overthrew Byron Pringle. We've had bad OTAs, guys. I know that it's easy to look at it now and just be like, of course this is going well. We're doing this. We're making this happen. Blah. But it could be bad. Did y'all see what Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield was out there doing? Did y'all see that video circulating around? It gets worse. So it's nice to hear good things coming out of training camp. It was interesting to hear it. I think still a good thing, right? But hopefully, right? Like basically that Tyreek Stevenson ended up picking off Justin Fields. Actually, I will say it's a good thing. By the way, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down and talk with you as well. How do you guys feel about Justin Fields' offseason improvements that the coaches visibly can see? I'll be down there talking with you guys as always, man. Make sure you're tuned in with us. The one thing that I'll say with the Chicago Bears that I am liking about this current coaching staff is Tyreek Stevenson ends up getting a pick on Justin Fields, right? Justin, I think, dropped back, went to throw it to his left. Tyreek Stevenson jumps the route, gets the pick, boom. He's going the other way. Defense is celebrating. But when they talk to the DB's coach about how that pick went, was that a good moment for him? The DB's coach didn't come out and say, man, we love that. We think that, he can do a lot of that, blah, blah, blah. The first thing he said was, he didn't catch that ball the right way. Yes, he caught it, which is great, but he had that same pass thrown his way last week, and he tried to catch it. I think basically went for the hands, end up bringing it into the chest instead of just catching it with the hands. And basically what he said was he had that same opportunity last week, and he dropped that one. So we want him to start catching it the right way. But the good thing is, right, that he is catching it. I like what Tyreek Stevenson, I believe, is going to bring to this Bears team. I like what we're hearing about Tyreek Stevenson. I think it's very interesting, especially seeing how, right, like Jaylon Johnson, still hasn't shown up to OTAs. Now, neither is Nate Davis, which is Nate Davis is a weird situation. And here's what I'll say about Jaylon Johnson not being there. I want people to really listen in on how Alan Williams was talking. I talked with McKee about this on today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast, and he basically said Alan Williams did a great job doing coach speech. Alan Williams comes out, and when they ask him about Jaylon Johnson, he says no comment. After no comment, he basically says, we would love for everybody to be here. We can only coach the guys that are here. It is voluntary, but I believe that we have the best training staff, the best coaches, the best options for guys to go out there and have the best opportunity to be successful on a Bears team. We have that here. There's no need for you not to be here. Coach Flus even went as far as to say the knowledge that you're gaining during OTAs is invaluable. And then they finish it all with this, but it is voluntary. But you're saying it's invaluable knowledge, which means that you think that this is a really important time for your team. I know you guys are sitting there just like, it doesn't matter that Jaylon Johnson is in there. Nobody cares. People care. The coaches care. The coaching staff that really didn't have a belief in him last season coming into the season cares, right? Jaylon Johnson is going to be here. He's going to start on this team. He's going to be by default because we don't have enough depth at DB. But this is something to keep an eye on because when it comes to contract situations, if the coaching staff isn't rocking with Jaylon Johnson might be a guy who is not here. Again, you could sit there and name me, oh, he had this many pass deflections and he had this and I saw a lot of dudes get over 100 yards on this guy. I saw a lot of dudes go to work with Jaylon Johnson standing on the other side. Well, he was the only guy out there. Well, he was the only guy out there last season. And you want to know what? They didn't throw to him the season before, I should say. He was the only guy out there the season before, and they threw to Kendall Vildor. Now, there was an option on the other side. The option on the other side has 3 interceptions in one season. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you Jaylon Johnson is a bad player. I'm not sitting here telling you he's not going to be on the Bears this season. What I'm sitting here telling you is that this is now leaning towards holdout situation. And the coaches want him to be here. He is healthy. Should be ready to go. They believe that he was a leader of this team. The coaches wanted him to be here. You can listen to how the coaches are talking, and it will tell you that the coaches wanted him to be here. When you listen to the professionals who played under coaches, who understand how coach speak is going, it tells you that they wanted him to be here. And so to me, this is something to keep an eye on moving forward. Jaylon Johnson, yet again, not at OTAs for the second week in a row. I know a lot of people just don't care about it, but realistically, this could be a situation where you start to see the parting of ways by the end of this season. Let me know how you guys feel, man. Do you think that the Jaylon Johnson thing is not a big deal? Do you think that it is a big deal? Do you think that Jaylon Johnson should be there? Do you not care that he's not there for the voluntary process? I love how McKee said it, right? McKee said back in the day, you know, voluntary, this stuff was voluntary. He said OTAs was voluntary. Right. And I said, you know, you get that. Yeah, I'm gonna put a picture up. You get that, you know, like Olin Kreutz just like popping up right in the middle of when somebody says voluntary, it's just Olin Kreutz right behind you the entire time. Like, yeah, it's voluntary if you want to be on this team. You know what I mean? Like that. And so he basically said, right, like the players would have mandated that it was voluntary, but you need to be there. Voluntary means mandatory. Now in today's day and age, that is very different. Voluntary does mean voluntary, and the coaches aren't going to sit here and not play you just because you didn't show up to the voluntary OTAs. But realistically, you're making this stand, and I don't believe that it's sitting right with the coaches at hand. That's what I'll say on that. Outside of that, man, OTAs, week 2, one day that the media actually gets to get in there and look at what the Bears are kind of doing. We'll be talking about it with Courtney Cronin on the Chicago Bears podcast tomorrow. But I think, you know, like it's another day of OTAs. There's nothing that you can take too serious from this. There's nothing that you can look in depth on and say, oh my God, this is exactly what this means for the season. But I do think that you get some nice little nuggets that make you feel better about how this Bears season is going to go. Hey, let me know how you guys feel this season's going to go. I'll be down in the comments talking with you as always, man. To continue watching our Chicago Bears content, click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Hey, man, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Drop a bird down if you made it to the end of the video. Big love to everybody out there supporting the journey, supporting the grind, man. Peace.